It's no secret that the US war with Iran has created a global shortage of Patriot missiles. The interceptors are crucial for air defense. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told CNN this week that he needs more of the US stockpile, and he needs 5% just to get through the winter. He says 10% is needed to destroy all of Russia's ballistic missiles. Now a British company says it's working to address the shortage. It's Cambridge Aerospace. It's raised $300 million to develop missile and drone interceptors and has already won contracts with the British Ministry of Defence to provide low-cost interceptors for the British Armed Forces. Steven Barrett is the founder and CEO of Cambridge Aerospace. He's with me now, sir. Now look, at the end of the day, these Patriots are very expensive. They take a long time to manufacture and then deliver. So essentially, is your product quicker, faster, cheaper?
Well, thanks for having me. What we're focused on initially actually are drones like Shaheds. So these are not your sort of small basketball-sized drones. These are drones the size of your living room that carry 120-pound bombs that can level a city block. And what's very challenging about those is they're produced in absolutely enormous volumes, sometimes 900 per night in the case of the Ukraine war. That means that while historically interceptors like Patriots have been used against these drones, you have Shaheds that can cost $20,000, Patriots can cost $4 million, and that exchange ratio is just uneconomic and also impossible to manage, to manufacture the number of Patriots that are needed to combat that threat.
Right.
So what we're producing to start with are Skyhammers, they're called, which are designed to take out Shaheds and lower-end drones in a really cost-effective way.
What do you estimate, if you've got your devices and your machinery, what do you estimate that reduces the necessity of Patriots by?
Well, for example, in the Ukraine conflict, up to 900 in night can rain into the country, as I mentioned. So that means that you couldn't possibly use that number of high-end interceptors such as Patriots. So the saving could be absolutely enormous. But it also applies in the Gulf conflict that we see, where, for example, some months back, a $1.2 billion United States ballistic missile early warning radar was taken out by a drone that would have cost something like $20,000 or $30,000. Now, the US had been using Patriots, sometimes even 2, 3, or 4 Patriots at a time to ensure that the threat was taken out. And that's proven to have depleted the stockpiles of the US and many other countries very significantly. So what's essential is that we sort of match the threat to the interceptor. For low-end threats like Shaheds, use cheaper interceptors produced at high volume. For high-end threats like ballistic missiles, then the Patriots really are the appropriate way to counter those risks.
I mean, this is what it's really about now, isn't it? It's a suite of various weaponry and defense mechanisms for the right moment. Do you believe that Ukraine should be given more ability to manufacture these things themselves?
Well, as you said, it absolutely is a layered air defense system, and that's the architecture that most countries need to start developing. And in the case of Cambridge Aerospace, we're starting at that level of drones and producing interceptors by the 1,000 per month. And if you take Patriots, something like 10,000 Patriots have been manufactured in all of history. And in the first part of next year, we'll be producing around 2,500 of these lower-end interceptors every month, which will be sort of transformative. But we are going up the spectrum, producing interceptors for cruise missiles and then ballistic missiles. And I think it will be essential to provide low-cost effectors to Ukraine and other countries to defend themselves.
Can we turn our attention to defense spending overall? Because all European countries, Germany in particular, have ramped up defense spending dramatically over the last 2 to 3 years, and there's more to come. The UK is having the debate at the moment over what is the correct level. And there are many in the UK saying that the country is woefully inadequately defended at the moment because of the spending cuts. What's your view?
Well, I think it is the case that there was a peace dividend after the Cold War, and it was right at the time that countries took advantage of that to invest in other areas, healthcare, education, and so on. But the geopolitics of the world has changed. We need to adjust to it. And it is the case that most European countries are playing to some extent catch up. And when you take the UK as a specific example, there has been a rapid set of increases in spending, increases in commitments. And we really have seen politicians and ministries of defense in the UK and across Europe really move at significant pace now. So I think that there has been perhaps a bit of a lag in many countries, but you're seeing a real change now. And I think a second thing that really helps with responding to that need is that countries now prioritizing not just their existing established primes, but also startups like Cambridge Aerospace, many others across Europe, and giving them the chance to contribute and help grow the economy too.
So I just want to end, though, on this question of how the UK defence industry fares on a European expenditure basis because the UK is outside the EU. Have you managed to work around on this?
It's not been a particular challenge so far because really, although that Brexit did occur in 2016, defence collaboration largely stood outside of the apparatus of the European Union. So while there is some effect, it's not a dramatic effect. Right. And there are extremely strong partnerships across Europe in defence and even across all of NATO. So I think it's something that the politicians have really been working hard to ensure that we are coordinating our activities very effectively.
At some point in the future, so when we're back in the UK, we must come and have a look at your drones and your machinery and take Crestmead's business to your doorstep.